Right, folks, couldn't skip this news with the RED Komodo price dropping down. I just want to share my thoughts with the RED Komodo, owning it for 5 years, almost 5 years, since 2021. Just trying to figure out how much the RED Komodo will cost after you will decide to sell it. Because one day, for those people who haven't been owning RED Komodos, they will need to sell it. And this price, $3,000 right now, is pretty much ridiculous, because on the second-hand market, probably in a month or two, you will find these cameras for 1,500 or 2,000 US dollars. This camera was released in 2021, and I was one of these guys who was pre-ordering this camera from Thailand. Being here on Koh Samui Islands in Thailand, I ordered this camera and was waiting for it for 7 months. I was paying for that 7,000 US dollars, and now it's become a camera which costs half of it. Is still really crazy how price of the RED Komodo falling down from being 6,000 to 5,000, 4,000, and then 3,000. I guess it was two drops, like 4,000 and then 3,000. Why is this news about 3,000 US dollars is pretty big right now? I think this is a Nikon and RED position being affordable on the market. Maybe in the future they're going to release something better. But for those who has this camera like me for many years and would like to sell it in the future, this is a big challenge, because this camera will cost nothing after investing in the rig and camera itself, the memory cards, and so on and so on. You know, it will be disaster to sell it on the second-hand market. Other cameras not that affordable as a RED Komodo on the market, like a Sony FX6. The price is pretty much the same. If you're gonna jump to the second-hand market, you will see the price is keeping the same value. The camera costs almost that much as it was new. Having a RED Komodo through the years, I was always thinking and checking the price of FX6, because this camera is also so well. It's much more easier to use, There is ND filters, amazing autofocus system, and file sizes is smaller. And the camera now, even on the second-hand market, is still, it's like a good car. Through the years, you will not lose the price. You will sell it with a good price if you want to sell it. Not like a RED Komodo now. I don't know what's happening with this Nikon and RED type of friendship, and the price went too low. And if I will think to sell this camera, that will be a nightmare for me. The price will be so low. As I mentioned, I was thinking about Sony FX6, which is pretty amazing camera, and comparing it with the RED. If now I would buy one of these cameras, I probably would go to FX6. Maybe it's a mistake, maybe not. Leave me a comment, just tell me about your experience if you have both of these cameras. But I think FX6 is a really good camera. If you have enough money for this camera, I think you should go for it. Owning a RED Komodo, as I am doing, this is my A camera, and I'm really happy about this camera. I don't want to sell it for the next 4 or 5 years, and I don't want to replace it with the Komodo X. I recently came back from Mentawai Islands when I was staying in the jungles for 7 days. Being with this camera, being with the R5 and the drone, I ended up turning this camera into the ProRes and shooting 180 in ProRes. And I had Angelbird 256 memory card, and I was able to get 3 hours of footage on this card in the jungle. And after watching this footage on my home computer, on the laptop, on the monitor, on the TV screen, the 180 was still really good. You can tell the difference much if you will see the specs only. So the colors and everything. I still use this camera as an A camera, and I use this camera on sets everywhere when I'm shooting. When I'm shooting in this studio, like podcast type of thing, or any other things, or shooting stocks, or shooting real estate, or some ads. This is the A camera, and this is #1 camera for me to shoot. So 3,000 US dollars, people probably gonna think that price dropped down because camera is not good or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that investing in the RED is the right thing, because you need to learn the production anyway. If you're going to grow in this type of niche, you need to understand what is RED RAW. You need to know how to work with these cameras, the workflow and everything. By investing in this camera around 10,000 US dollars in general, because I was buying this camera, as I mentioned, in Thailand, and I had to pay some taxes, and it's ended up for me being 7,000 US dollars just for the body itself. And then I was rigging this camera over the years, and I think I spent around 10K. After a few projects, this camera was covered with the expenses. So it's still good investment. And when your clients see you're well prepared with the nice equipment that you understand and you understand what you're doing, so you're the guy who will be hired for most of the time. Of course, if you're running video production services or something like that, you need to have a few cameras like DSLR cameras that's easy to use in some sort of situation, because RED is difficult to use in a fast running gunning situation. It's slow in many aspects, but it's good in the quality. So if you have a set when things are ready, pretty much, you can use it without any limitations. But if you need quick type of result, like a reportage type of shooter, you name it, it's better to have a DSLR camera with you on set. It was really nice 4 years having these cameras on sets everywhere I go. I was traveling through the Thailand, and I was traveling to Indonesia with this camera. I was shooting a lot of really cool stuff, and the image turned to be really nice. I really like to shoot real estate with this camera, and if you see the B-rolls, they always end up really bright, vibrant, and unique. I'm happy that I invest in this camera, and I still don't want to sell it. For me to have this camera in Asia, where we have a lot of heat and wet oxygen, this camera is handling pretty nice and well, and I'm happy when I was taking this camera through the forests and jungles and all my trips, and it still was handling all this heat and wetness very well. It's a solid piece of equipment. The way the RED speeds and record our 3D files is always nice. Even when you have some troubles, when the juice is off, the camera switches off, it still have your files. If you shoot something on the Canon and suddenly the battery is off, you cannot sometimes recover your file, and this is the huge problem. So downsides, having cameras like Sony A7S III or FX3 or FX30, you name it, it's always easier. The file sizes of these cameras are pretty small. You can like shooting all day and having your memory card half full and half empty. So it's pretty convenient, and RED generating so much media that can be a huge headache. And another one is autofocus. If you're trying to use focus in this camera, is always end up messy. So I always trying to use my manual focus on the camera, and or just use your hands or something like that, because otherwise the focus is just ridiculous. And trying to update it, but it's never worked well. I think this year and through the years, this camera is a beast, and with this price, it's just a sweet dream. I don't know, it's just a Black Friday now or something, so everybody's, I guess, should buy a RED Komodo or something. However, this is only my experience and my opinion, so if you have any other experience, you can leave a comment. I want to know your experience, if you had RED Komodo before, if you still have it, is it good for you or not? Just leave me your thoughts. I always like to share my experience. Let me know if you have troubles with this camera, or this is the sweet piece for you, like for me. Would you compare this camera with other cameras like Sony FX6 or FX3 or Blackmagic? Maybe you own one of these cameras and you already have compare it before. I used to compare this camera before with the Blackmagic, and you can see one of these videos in my channel. Let me know also if you would like me to do the podcast studio review, how to arrange the studio, because this is one of my projects that I'm running here as a business. We built the studio, and we have a few other sets available, and this is a topic I would like to share if you guys want. So let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Drop a like, hit subscribe, and see you in the next one.